All right, so factoring part 2, right? So I guess it's not really part 2, but you know what I mean. So we just got done looking at examples where you're trying to factor out the greatest common term, greatest common factor from each term, rather. You see in the previous example, the greatest common factor was u squared. The example before, up here, this was one that we did in the previous, two that we did in the previous video. The greatest common factor was CDH, so we were able to factor a C, a D, and an H from each term. And it was pretty straightforward, right? Now, 7 and 8 as well, but we'll get to that in a second. 7 offers sort of a new wrinkle. You know, this one, it looks like, at first glance, it's got both B and C in common. But if you're paying attention, really, the entire value of B minus C is something that the expression has in common. So what we're able to do, instead of trying to factor out a B and then a minus C separately, that wouldn't work. What we're able to do, which is a lot easier, is just factor out the entire thing. So we can take this B minus C out of our equation, out of our expression, and then, well, what's left over? Well, if we got rid of the B minus C, we'd only have A plus D. So we have A plus D left over. Right? Pretty simple. So, with that in mind, pause the video, give number 5 a shot. It's essentially the same concept. So take a couple minutes, pause the video, give it a shot. We'll check our answer here in a second. All right, let's see how you did. So, same as before, but instead of B minus C, now we have A plus B as a common binomial in each of our 3 terms in this expression. And just because there's 3, that doesn't make very much of a difference. Just like in the problems in the previous video when there were 3 expressions. We factor out the same value even though there's 3 as opposed to 2. So we can do that. We'll get rid of the A plus B value, bring it out or divide it out, and now what's left over? Well, if we took this and divided it by A plus B, we'd just be left with 5. And this one, we would just be left with X. And then with this one, we would just be left with Y. And that's it, right? Pretty easy. So that's factoring a binomial out of an expression. The next video, we'll look at what happens when it's not so obvious what there is to factor out. So maybe you have 4 terms where, like in number 9, you have 4 different terms in your expression where it doesn't seem so obvious. So we'll see how to do problems like that. So go ahead and jump to the next video when you're ready.